I'm thinking about agnosticism. And I think there's a brand of agnosticism. I might be way off here, but this is just a kind of intuitive sense I have. I think there's a brand of agnosticism which for me is a little bit like a cross between Pascal's wager and the Schrodinger's cat experiment. Pascal's wager, as I'm sure everybody knows, says that, well, Pascal is supposed to have said that you might as well believe in God, because if there is one, then you stand to win everything, and if there isn't one, you stand to lose nothing. So given those odds, you might as well. And there's lots of critiques of it, and they're all completely valid. It's nonsense. That's Pascal's wager. Schrodinger's cat's experiment is, you know, the cat locked in a box with some kind of quantum device that will trigger a poison capsule. So if the capsule is triggered, the cat dies. If it's not triggered, the cat doesn't die. But because it's a quantum event, the possible outcomes of that event are supervenient upon one another. So you have to say that the cat is both alive and dead at the same time in parallel state vectors, and those state vectors don't collapse into a single reality until, well, what's usually cited is that, you know, until an observer opens the box. You open the box, the state vectors collapse, and the quantum event resolves to a single outcome, and the cat is either alive or dead. I think there's a kind of agnosticism, as I say, which for me at least builds out of both of those. You know, people say, oh yeah, well, we don't know, we're agnostic, we don't know if there's a God or not. We don't know if there's a God or not. And if there is a God, we don't know what shape he is, or what kind of thing it is, or whether it's a pantheist kind of thing, or whether it's a panentheist kind of thing, or whether it's I don't know, a multiplicity of different gods, or whether it's inside or outside, or, you know, people talk in those kind of terms. As if, and it's kind of like a Schrodinger's box, you know what I mean? It's kind of like a box, but instead of there being just two possible states, the cat being alive or dead, it could collapse into any kind of state, you know. It could collapse into some kind of weird panentheist god, or it could collapse into Kali, or it could collapse into Shiva, or it could collapse into Allah. Who knows? It could collapse into some weird avatar kind of pantheist Lion King god. Who knows? Anyway, but there's something in the box, you know, and you don't know what you're going to get until you open it. And that's presumably when you die, the final box opens. As the lid closes on your coffin, the box lid opens on Schrodinger's God box, and it's at that point that all these possible gods resolves into a singular God. You say, oh, that's the one, right? Okay. Now, I don't think anybody's really thinking that, but I think a lot of the kind of generalised talk about the possibility of a God, or some kind of strange, unfocused reverence for some, I don't know, something just on it. It does feel a little bit like that. It feels a little bit like hedging one's bets, a little bit like that, in a kind of non-committal way. You're not committing to any specific God, but you're assuming that there is some kind of a God waiting in the box, which you might as well have some kind of reverence for, on the off chance that when you do open the box, it's not completely empty. My opinion is that it's completely empty. There is no quantum device triggering the likelihood of God being this God or that God. There just isn't anything in the box, is my view.